No one really warned you about what you can find when you dig too deep at flea markets. It was early June when I found the game. I was visiting my cousin in upstate New York, in a sleepy town near the Catskills. We passed by a roadside flea market, half tents, half junkyards, the kind of place where everything smells like motor oil and moldy paperbacks. We were looking for old vinyls and maybe an old Game Boy for nostalgia's sake. That's when I found the black DVD case. It was in a plastic crate full of scratched-up PS2 games and burned anime discs. The case had no cover art, just a red sticky note on the front. 3 words, written in shaky permanent marker. Anko's Mirror Game. I held it up. What the hell is this? Behind the folding table sat an elderly woman with an oxygen tube and 3 packs of off-brand cigarettes stacked like a shrine. She looked at me through milky eyes and said, without blinking, "Once you see her, you can't unsee her." I laughed, assuming she was just playing up the creepy vibe. She didn't smile. I bought the disc for $2, and I wish I hadn't. Back home that evening, I popped the disc into my old laptop. The file inside wasn't named anything recognizable, just am_v1.exe. The icon was a cracked mirror. No install wizard, no splash screen, just a jolt of static and a slow fade in. The screen showed a hallway, top-down pixel art, reminiscent of early RPGs, but the resolution was surprisingly high, and the lighting looked off, too real for a game. There were flickering lights, like fluorescent bulbs about to die, and a steady hum that sounded like it had been recorded in a real building. No title screen, no music, just this hallway. My character had no name, just a blank avatar, pale skin, black clothes, and no face. I pressed the arrow keys. He moved slowly, like the floor was sticky or submerged. The hallways stretched ahead, lined with doors on either side. But it wasn't the doors that caught my attention. It was the mirrors. Every door had a mirror beside it, tall, thin, warped like funhouse glass, yet each showed a perfectly clear reflection of my avatar. As I moved past, the reflections followed, but not always perfectly. Sometimes they lagged, sometimes they smiled. When I touched the first mirror, the game glitched, screen tearing, audio distortion, like the game couldn't handle the action. Then everything cut to black. Suddenly, I was in a pixelated classroom, faded desks, old chalkboard, and in the corner, a girl. Purple eyes, fishnet sleeves, snake-like smile. Anko. Not the version I remembered from anime marathons on Toonami. This was different. Her eyes were empty voids, her face pale and twitching like an old VHS pause screen. She didn't move, she just stared, right at me. Then a single beep, like a heart monitor, flatlining. Back to black. When the hallway returned, the mirror I had touched was shattered. A sharp cracking sound rang through my speakers, too crisp to be just an SFX file. I felt my hands sweat. Each mirror brought something new. A forest scene, where Anko stood beneath a bleeding moon, whispering in a voice I couldn't hear. A hospital hallway, empty except for her silhouette behind frosted glass. A school rooftop, where she slowly walked toward the edge, but never fell. The mirrors started to break before I touched them, Then the hallway changed. The lights dimmed. My reflection in the mirrors began to decay. Eyes darkened, skin cracked. One time I passed a mirror and my reflection didn't move. It just stood there, watching me walk away. And then the sound design changed. Footsteps began to echo behind me. Soft, barefoot, slow. Always a beat behind mine. I muted my laptop. The footsteps continued. That night, I went to bed and dreamed of class. I was in the hallway, but now it was real. I could feel the cold linoleum under my feet, the buzz of the dying lights above. I looked into a mirror and saw not myself, but her, crawling toward the glass from the other side. I woke up drenched in sweat. My bedroom mirror was fogged, even though the room wasn't cold, and there were small fingerprints on the inside. I have a parrot. Had one, I guess. Rio. Bright red and yellow. Talkative little bastard. His cage sat in the corner of my kitchen, near the pantry. One night, while I was replaying the game, trying to get screenshots this time, I heard a strange sound. Knock, knock, knock. It came from the kitchen. Rio squawked loudly once, then went silent. I paused the game and walked over. The lights were off, but I could still make out the cage. Door locked, nothing out of place. But Rio was gone. The cage was sealed. No broken bars, no open latch, just an empty swing, gently swaying, and a single long black hair coiled around the perch. I told the story to a friend of mine who's deep into paranormal stuff. He told me to hang wind chimes or small bells in my room. Spirits hate dissonance, he said. It messes with their rhythm. So I did. 3 small brass bells hung on red thread above my bed. The first night was quiet. I almost convinced myself it had been my imagination. The second night, the knocking returned. This time from the bathroom mirror. I sat in bed, frozen, watching the door. That's when I heard a new sound. Tink, tink, tink. The bells above me were moving, but there was no breeze, no open windows, just the sound of slow, deliberate metal tapping. And then came the scream, not loud, not violent, but piercing and fragile, like a child wailing from behind a wall. It came from the mirror, and the bells went silent. By the 4th day, I had stopped turning the game on. But the game didn't stop. That night, I noticed something deeply wrong with my bedroom mirror. It was tall, vintage, something I picked up from a second-hand store in Brooklyn years ago. It stood on clawed wooden legs in the corner of my room. It always reflected everything exactly. Until now. When I walked past it, my reflection lagged by a full second. I moved right, it stayed still. I blinked, it stared. And then it smiled. I threw a bedsheet over it. The fabric shifted during the night. In the morning, the mirror was bare again. And someone had written on the glass in what looked like ash, "You played." The return to the game. I knew I had to finish what I started. Maybe it was stupid. Maybe I just needed closure. I turned on the laptop. The game no longer started in the hallway. It opened with a cutscene. My avatar, now visibly aged, stood in a shattered world. Floating mirror shards surrounded him. The background pulsed like a dying heart. In the largest shard hovered Anko, smiling sweetly, her eyes endless voids of static. Text scrolled across the screen slowly. You brought her home. Then the hallway returned. Only now, every mirror was shattered. My reflection appeared in pieces, broken, incomplete, moving out of sync. And there were whispers. Not audio, actual text. Faint phrases scrolled across the bottom, random and out of order. She sees you. The glass remembers. You smiled first. The final mirror pulsed with red light. It wasn't shattered, but instead fogged, as if someone were breathing on the other side. When I clicked it, everything went white. Then, I was in my bedroom, pixelated. Exactly like real life, same furniture, same carpet, but the mirror was perfectly clear. And on the other side stood Anko. She didn't move. She just raised one hand, fingertip tapping the glass. Tap, tap, tap. Then, without warning, she reached through. Not an animation, an actual hand, rendered in terrifying detail, erupted from the screen, fingers long, black, and wet. I slammed the laptop shut, nearly throwing it across the room. The tapping continued, but now from the mirror behind me. The shattering, I called my cousin. I told him everything, expecting laughter. Instead, there was silence. Then he said, "You too?" His voice cracked. "I played it last year, the same game. I thought it was just some fucked up ARG, until I saw her in the rearview mirror while driving. I don't even keep mirrors in my house anymore." He told me to get rid of everything. Laptop, mirrors, the disc, especially the disc. I smashed the mirror in my room that night. It took 3 hits with a hammer. As the shards rained down, I saw something in one of the larger pieces. A hallway, just for a split second. Flickering lights, broken glass, and a shadow smiling. The ending. I buried the disc in the woods behind my house, deep, wrapped in a t-shirt, duct taped, sealed in Tupperware. I never went back. The laptop, I fried it, literally smashed the drive with a drill. But even now, sometimes my phone buzzes at night, a notification with no content. I check my gallery and sometimes see a blurred shape, a girl with purple eyes standing behind me. And sometimes, in reflections, windows, car mirrors, even puddles, I see her silhouette, flickering, waiting. I've grown older, tired, but I know one thing. Once you see her, you can't unsee her. And if you ever play the mirror game, don't touch the final reflection. You may not come back.